ninth day of our British Isles tour began by taking a ferry from Belfast to Cairnryan village in Scotland. In the afternoon we went on a city tour of Glasgow, which is famous for its Victorian and Art Nouveau architecture. We left the Holiday Inn Hotel in Belfast by 9 a.m. and reached the Belfast ferry port at 9:45. Ailsa Craig is an island, 240 acres of uninhabited island colloquially known as Paddy's Milestone, because it is halfway between Belfast and Glasgow. It was a haven for Catholics in the 16th century, but is today a bird sanctuary.
currently Glasgow has a population of nearly 1.5 million people. Called the historic novel, and he wrote books, Beverly Tales. However, the square ahead of us is called George Square because initially it was meant to be dedicated to George III. Education or apprenticeship opportunities, all those people who wanted to go and work in the sea trades. Now, the Technical College of the Anderson doesn't exist anymore because it has been absorbed, merged in 1965 with the Strathclyde University, but it used to be the college where also James Watt, the mechanical engineer, studied. James Watt is one of the most important famous people linked to Glasgow and Glasgow area because so much so he created a new engine which was able to extract water from the soil. Can you pull to the left after the traffic light? So you pull to the left, thank you, so they can see the murals. Yeah, not just here, no, not just here, sorry, here, so they can look at the portraits to the left. Thank you. So you have a number of portraits of very famous linked to Glasgow. Now the very last one, the one closer to me, it's a doctor. He was a doctor called Andrew Ure. Andrew Ure, it is said to be the main inspiration for Mary Shelley, the English writer, who wrote Frankenstein. Because Andrew Ure, as other many Victorian doctors, he was very much obsessed with the idea of bringing corpses back to life, and he was doing these experiments called galvanization experiments. He was introducing electricity into the corpses in the hope these corpses would come back to life. And I don't know if you watched recently the movie called Poor Things. The movie was also inspired by one of the stories written by Alistair Gray, a Scottish author. Near to us there is a guy, can you see the tartan bit with all the colors, the guy with the moustache inside the Africa shape. The guy there he was another doctor, Dr. Livingstone. I'm sure you heard of him. Livingstone, he was the explorer, but also he was a doctor, and also he was a very religious man. It's the mural portraying a lady embracing a child. Now this lady is Saint Enoch. Saint Enoch used to be the mother of Saint Mungo. Saint Mungo is the patron saint of Glasgow, and Glasgow founder in the 6th century, and Glasgow has a very rich, very wealthy mural trail, a public art trail. Now these murals has been founded, paid for by the Glasgow City Council, and at the moment we do have up to 36 different murals across the city.
যেটাই
To the left-hand side, the large building coming up with plenty of windows and the green flags, banners. This used to be a rope manufacturing company. Rope was made and turned into ropes for boats. Now, ahead of us, you have this very tall bell tower with a blue clock. This is what is left of a medieval building called the toll booth. Now, toll booths used to be building like this. A large building at the side, which in the case of Glasgow didn't survive, and a very all the cast iron and the rivets used to make this bridge and the central station were locally made in Glasgow. However, Glasgow was really overproducing the cast iron, which was able to produce things like locomotives. Locomotives were produced in Glasgow and were shipped as far as Japan, Egypt, and India, of course. So to the left-hand side, this lane we are driving by is a cycle lane. Now the cycle lane, which departs from Glasgow, is part of the national cycling route, and in principle from Glasgow on a bike you can get easily to the Loch Lomond and Trossachs Park. If you look to the left, we just passed another mural. The mural under the Kingston Bridge is called Swimmers and Divers, and it was put in place when Glasgow hosted the 21st edition of the Commonwealth Games. Very recently, like 3 weeks ago, has been announced that Glasgow in 2026 is going to host again the 24th edition of the Commonwealth Games. Okay, so if you look to the left, you will see a huge crane. This is called the Finiston crane, which is obviously no longer operational, but in the past, when there were plenty of shipyards along the River Clyde, this crane used to lift engines and also locomotives, which were ready to be shipped all over the world. If you look again to the left, you see the STV building. STV stands for Scottish Television, and is followed by the BBC building, the British Broadcast Television. That's the headquarters of the BBC in Scotland, so the major site, and then there is a smaller one also in Inverness. Ahead of us, this building is also called Armadillo. It looks like one and has been designed by an architect called Norman Foster during the 1980s. And if you look to the left now, you see the Hydro, which is also a project by Norman Foster, but much more recent because it was built in the 2019. The Hydro is the second largest music venue after the O2 in London. So it's used for the main concerts, and it has been built incorporating a number of technologies which are like renewable energies and green architecture technologies as well. But it's the same architect, Norman Foster, is a very famous one. We go to the left. Very famous one is also, he was also responsible for enlarging and refurbishing the British Museum in London. Now we are going to drive towards the West End, where we are going to stop to take pictures at the Glasgow University. So we are now going to do this road, which will allow you to see a couple of nice things before approaching the West End. So the tunnel, which says People Make Glasgow, this is like a tunnel for pedestrians, links the area of the SEC to the left. The SEC stands for Scottish Exhibition Centre, with the nearest train station. Glasgow is So to the right here, it looks like a temple from the outside with columns and pediments. This is the High Court of Justiciary of Glasgow. And to the left-hand side is fantastic public park. So to the left-hand side, you have a number of houses. Those are all the humanities faculties: history, music, Gaelic, art, poetry, literature. Drive along the University Avenue for a bit, so we can do, we can see a little bit more, and then our driver can drop us off on the right side of the street. To the left, this building is called the Wellington Church. It used to be a church. Now it's owned by the university, and it's used as a concert hall and a theatre. Either this one here or so ahead of us there are a couple of buildings which used to be churches. So also this one ahead of us used to be a church. Now it became the Theatre, Film and Television Studies department. While ahead of us is the Kelvin Way. Now there are some works which are in preparation of the Great Scottish Run, which is taking place next Saturday, the 5th of October. Now our driver is going to drop us off here. Before disembarking the coach, because I have the microphone so I don't have to shout, I will tell you what you are going to see on the beautiful gates.
The gates bear the names of 30 distinguished figures like James Watt, Adam Smith, and so on associated with the university.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Another one which is manufacturing warships, and then there is another one towards the mouth of the river, which is instead manufacturing ferries, Scottish ferries of the Caledonia McBrain Company, which provides links, transport links from Scotland mainland to the islands.